discussable pronunciation of English. So maybe it's better than I hope that you will be patient with me, because maybe I know Egyptian and Latin and Greek, but I speak English more like it's me, Mario. So let's go. Now, in Italy, in public school in Italy, we have spoken about active use of ancient languages. But in public school in Italy, they have these ministerial programs which want you to use the grammar and translation method. So you have basically to read and translate, read and translate. And so I have to make my students read and translate. Of course, I have to do it. But I was wondering, is there a way to put together a deep understanding of grammar in a linguistic way with an active use of the language? Well, I had to move from a basic principle that language is basically mathematics through music. As is mathematics in music. So you have to learn how to play this instrument, and this instrument is a logic instrument. So I said to myself, maybe I can obey these ministerial programs, but not through grammar, which is something traditional, which is something prescientific, but through linguistics, morphological linguistics, so that with few basic principles and some laws of composition, I can do so that these little students can memorize few things and then make new sentences in Latin and Greek on their own. We have to move from phonetics. This is an instrument and this is music. So you have to learn how this instrument is meant to be. It's meant to be played. It's supposed to be played. So we Italians, we speak basically the same language as ancient Romans, but after some centuries. So we have something like an advantage on American people, maybe German people, Russian people, Chinese people, for example. But in our schools, you have to use the dictionary and use always the dictionary. You have mathematical laws to transform a Latin word in an Italian word and vice versa, but the school not prevents you, but simply doesn't understand that you can go like that and make so that you simply turn off your brain. And I saw with these eyes of mine students looking up on a dictionary for a word like pretium, et nos dicimus prezzo. And they looked up on the dictionary as if they were Chinese. So I, as a first thing, I teach the phonetic rules which transform a Latin word in an Italian one and vice versa. And this goes for Greek too. Because if I teach them the laws of contraction, a becomes a, o becomes o. This is something like a way to play this instrument. They have not to memorize ao, o, eo, and ois, eis, ais, and 1000 verbal classes, but simply they memorize one verbal class, well, two, thematic and athematic. The rest comes with the sound laws. That's the lois, of course, is the lois. They think in their head, the lois, and then the lois. This is the rule. This is how the instrument works. Then the dictionary. But often we are native speakers, but I am a native speaker of Italian. But if I hear to people speaking about computers in a technical way in my native language, I understand, I think, maybe 40 or 50%. And they are speaking in my native language. Our school wants that we give to these little students who never read or spoke in ancient and Greek language, in Latin and Greek language, texts without the slightest bit of context. In our classroom, we speak about the topic of the text, and I provide them with exercises in which the lexicon is the same, which they will find in the text. Then the morph. Now, we teach them endings. But what is an ending? Here, what is the ending?
At.
At? Tamen, but laudaveras is something else. So the ending is s. So this is the root? No. Because this can be laudaveris. And is it er? But in subjunctive, it is is. And if we know how to play the instrument, we know that is before a vowel becomes ir. Laudavisis becomes laudaviris. But e before er becomes e. Laudaveris. So, if this is subjunctive, past subjunctive, is stays is. Laudavis says. So this action is done by you, is done in the past and in a subjunctive way. It's completed in that time. It's of narrative kind. You did it once, not twice, not thrice, not 4 times, not thrice, not 4 times, once. And it's of the A class. And it's to praise. So the ending is nothing. Ending can be everything. You have to speak about morphs. They have to memorize not eram, eris, issemus, but is and e, et a, et i, et m, se, te, kerte, hoc. Of course, this is something we know. Now this is the program in an Italian school. So you have the first declension and only the first declension, but then you go with the indicative, the infinite, the present infinitive of sum, and the active and passive, they don't know what a diathesis is, but they have to memorize all the active and all the passive, all. But they can speak only about maids and bracelets and goddesses. But they can speak about them in a passive way. Yeah. So you have to treat the nouns first, because you depart from the nouns when you speak, and then the verbs. And in nouns, but we put, I don't know why, I swear, I don't know why, but we put the cases in this absurd order. Canes, canin, canum, canibus, canes, again canes, because we have a vocative in Latin, yeah, canes and canibus. It's not like, this is not how it works in morphology. You have to depart from the notion, linguistic notions which are already existent in the language of those people. They don't know how to say lupus and lupum, but they do know how to say io or I and me or me. He is something different from him. She is something different from her. So our students do know what a case is. Simply they have only the direct cases, the nominative and the accusative. So why should we teach them all the cases at once in SEML? Let's depart from the cases they already have, nominative and accusative, and then the indirect cases, ablative, dative, and genitive, in the order which is in the Sanskrit grammars. In this way, all the identical cases are close to one another. They have not to memorize canes, canum, canibus, canes, canes, again canibus, said canes, canibus, canum. And this may look stupid, but for a 14-year-old schoolboy who has to memorize a lot of things, very important, lot of things, it's a help. It's a help. So in this way, you can very, very shorten the amount of material to be memorized. Yeah. In the verbs, you have to...
On the before slide, there in the case, what is dir?
Direct. Why should we distinguish between nominative and accusative if the language we are teaching doesn't? Momentum is nominative. A Latin man will say, yeah, it's nominative. No. Yeah, monumentum magnum est. Ego video monumentum. Canes boni sunt. Sed ego video canes. So the language doesn't distinguish between nominative and accusative in this class and in neuter. Why should I? The teacher.
Yeah.
I follow the language. It's not the language that follows me. Thanks for your question. In the verbs, we begin with the tenses. I do, I was doing, I did, I will do, and these people doesn't know what a mood is, but the mood is the very basis of all the verbal structure of a language. If an action is main or secondary, is potential or real. If you begin with the mood, I could see that it's very, very easier. And then the aspect. I am doing, I do, I always do, I am doing right now, I have done. They are taught, they usually are taught that I have done is a past. No, I now have done. This is aspect, not tense. But we don't follow linguistics, we follow grammarians. Grammarians lived many centuries before the modern linguistic arose. It is something, it's like we now in physics spoke about ether. It's a prescientific way to teach a language. The diathesis is at the end of the morphological chain. Why do we teach it at the beginning? And they have to learn how to do laudor, laudaris, laudatur, so but it's at the end. Amabatur, amaretur, amatur, ametur, amari, amabitur. This ur is at the end. Why do we teach it in first position? Now, this is a page from Italian encyclopedia. We have this problem. We don't use a terminology which helps the students, and we confuse aspect and tense, and this is very, very bad. Latin verbal tenses are rather similar to Italian ones. There is a present, two futures, and an immense mess of pasts. They are respectively called more than perfect, perfect, imperfect, absolutely less than perfect. Tense that sucks. And tempo di tense. So which is the sense of pluperfect, more than perfect? This is also prescientific. Pluperfect confuses, merges two parameters, aspect and tense, and we believe that the schoolboys are too young to understand these difficult concepts. No, they simply don't understand if we merge the concepts and if we transform something which is a science into something which is a humanistic discipline. But these are not humanistic disciplines. This is math. This is mathematics. And at the end, the vocabulary, the dictionary, they are taught they have not to reflect on the word, but simply, do you know it? Okay, translate. You don't know it? Okay, look up on the dictionary. But we speak Italian, so we use the same verbs, but not in the same situation. And this is the trick. We use the same words, but not in the same situation. So I try to teach them, they have not to translate the word, they have to translate the situation. We say contendere in Italian, but not in this situation. So they have to be taught to translate the word is interpreting it. So that word in that place done by those people. So what is contendere? It's gareggiare, to contest, to have a contest. Contrapporsi, to contrast. But what is contrapporsi in Senato? In the Senate. It's discutere, to discuss. And here's the translation. So here, and I will come to an end. These are exercises of my students in classroom without dictionary and without a list of words. Dux commutavit ordines in dextro latere. The girl wrote, il comandante commutò. Commutavit, commutò. First, she Italianized the word, then reasoned about. So what do we mean for commutare? In this situation, okay, scambiò, exchanged. I say to them, pretend that is a foreigner who is trying to speak to you in Italian. So if I am a foreigner and I tell you, il comandante commutò gli ordini, what do you understand? Okay, it's changed, scambiò. So the context. Here, the schoolboy didn't know the word city, thirst. He had no dictionary to look up. He took he did like that, the root, the thematic vowel, and the morph of the accusative. He didn't know that this is sitim. He didn't know. He had no dictionary, but he had to interpret it. So sitem, fit, becomes sete, thirst, and then he translated. Because short e in Italian fit closed e, without dictionary, but with some mathematic laws he could translate. This and then the active use. So at the end of an exam, I tell them, okay, if you want, write something about whatever you want in the target language. This is what a girl from the first year without dictionary wrote in Greek in classroom on her own. Sestos en Antiona budoien en gutites talasses without accents. These are my corrections. Emen sestoi ero enaien, kai en abudoi Leandros enaien, en Aphrodites te ortei, Leandros ero et easato, kai autene gavesen. Ketoluka. The second production, I told this girl, okay, but you have to use the stresses. And this was the second. To deto pragma, euxes et men in teste as, heis to Heraklos lic non diodra con te, apepemse. Catolupa. So, can we teach active use of language in a context that forces us to use grammar and translation method? Yes, of course. Yes, of course. But we have to replace grammatical tradition with in-depth study of phonetics and morphology, not grammar. Grammar is nothing. Phonetics and morphology. How am I supposed to play this instrument? Provide students with clear and self-explanatory terminology. Replace dictionary with derivation and situation understanding. Hence, limit the memorization to the basic constitutive elements, axioms, like in mathematics, with their position in the chain. So yeah, my conclusion is that we actually can teach in an active way, an active use of the language. Of course, I have to show you the written version, the written production of the students. I cannot bring them here and make them speak. But yeah, but we can do it in a context which forces us to use grammar and translation. Method. Gratias ago. Omnibus audientibus.